furious, right? And the fury becomes an impediment, and they don't want to admit that they're furious. So one woman kept on saying, I know he doesn't want to talk to me. That's why I'm getting no communications and signs. He doesn't want to talk to me. And there's an example again of projecting our own feeling out onto someone else. She was so furious at him, she didn't want to talk to him. But she did.
They always want to talk to us. They always want to, but they don't want to push us before we're ready. So that can be a combination of we're projecting, and also they're saying, whoa, I guess you need a little more time.
You know, the funny thing is, what I find is that when people are angry and they're not talking about it, that becomes an obstacle to communicating. And so that's what's really good about dialoguing, because when I say just talk about your anger, you get unconstipated, you're unplugged, you know, and then suddenly the conversation flows. Now you're not constipated, and then you have verbal diarrhea and you spit out what you're so angry about, and now that raises your vibration, and then you're able to communicate a little bit better. And you don't have to, you don't have to get rid of your anger or deny your anger. You just talk about it, you know?
Yeah, and denying anger can be, you know how destructive that is. It's going to come out some way. So, just get through it. But the main thing to know is don't be afraid. If your loved one committed suicide, I think that the terminology we're using now is death by suicide. If that has happened, don't be afraid that they're in some kind of bad place.
Right.
Physically, I've mentioned that there is a physical world there, that they're not just mindless floating balls of light over there. And where they will go, what we're told, is spirit rehab. It's really almost like a very fancy spa, hospital type place where they can relax, they can unwind, they can start to reflect. And nobody's judging them. They may judge themselves for a little while, but even that's temporary. Nothing's really permanent. So I think a lot of all the stigma around suicide is just, to me, it's just disgusting, because there should be no stigma. There should only be love.
That's so true. And, a lot of that stigma comes from organized religion, right? Oh, you're in hell, you're in purgatory, right?
Yeah, I tell people I don't want to mess with anybody's dogma and their beliefs. I just want to give them a new lens to look through, and that is the lens of compassion for self and compassion for others. And it takes time. It's like it's retraining the heart and the mind to not expect the worst because something bad has happened. Love never dies.
Yeah, and everyone who's suicided, when we do the dialoguing with them, we hear how sorry they are. That a lot of times they talk about, they didn't, at the time they were so out of it that they couldn't see any other way to exit their pain.
Yeah, I really do believe that some souls just, they're just trying to overachieve, coming here and taking on some very, very difficult things, and they may have a higher risk of leaving by suicide, but that doesn't mean that they hate anyone or that they're angry with anyone. Once they get there, they can see things a lot more objectively, and I find that if they take a little nap, they take a little rest, but then they're ready to communicate pretty quickly.
Beautiful. Is your husband a medium too?
My husband of 31 years did not think he was marrying a medium. He just thought I was a good guesser, because I spent most of my life in the corporate world, in academia, and it was a 2007 near-death experience that pretty much flipped me into the on position for mediumship. So he is an engineer by trade, so when he says it's not rocket science, he actually knows what he's talking about because he worked on missiles. He was also a Marine, a master sergeant. And so the thing is, he has had so many experiences around me where he has seen spirits, and he's heard from so many people that I've had the good fortune to be able to be of service to and help them, that he's a believer but it's not his world. He respects it, and we've actually talked about, because he's so much older than me, that if should he transition before me, we're still going to get together. We're still going to have a relationship. It's all planned. But if I transition before him, same thing. So yeah, we're really open about it.
That is so beautiful, and I love that he's so open. You know, he's a true man of science. You know.
Yeah, and that is really a trend I'm seeing also, Jamie, where I'm hearing from physicians that want to take a class. I've just had an ER doctor who was in one of my classes. I've had a psychiatrist in a class, and you know they're now saying, I've just seen some things that really wouldn't have been possible without the power of the spirit world, and I want to know more. So yeah, the scientists are starting to embrace the fact that consciousness never dies.
Absolutely. And I think also now with all the quantum physics research, we have more of an opportunity for those who have a scientific background to come in, you know?
Yeah, nobody's laughing at Max Planck anymore. They're now saying, oh, okay, he knew what he was talking about. Nobody's laughing at Nikola Tesla. We do have a great body of science that it's no longer a question of whether there is another world. It's more a question and a curiosity about what is that world like. And we do know from the spirit world and through 200 years of research through highly credible mediums that there are so many dimensions and so many places that we can live once we leave the body that it's virtually unlimited, but that most of those places are quite solid and quite real. In fact, they seem even more real than the earth.
It's true. It's absolutely true. And, you know, it's so funny. One day, Jean took me on a little walk, and he showed me that we were living under a waterfall, and that somehow, you know, I couldn't fully understand, but it was something like we could live in the water. And then I remembered I heard an expression called the living water, right?
Yeah.
So and you have a more of a traditional background, so this might make more sense to you than it did to me when I heard it at the time.
Well, you know, baptism is done by water. Water's been very well known as a spiritual energy conductor. In fact, I always recommend, if you want to have a dream visit and you pick one night a week and invite the dream visit, to have a glass of water by your bedside to help them bring their energy to you. And all of the earth, all of the elements of the earth are very, very spiritual. They're gifted to us by a loving source who wants us to have everything that we need to cope with our very tough lives here. There is mystical property in crystals. Why is that? That's because they're gifted to us, and we can put our intention into a crystal and even use it to amplify our energy of love and connection. Everything around us has the potential to help us to embrace our spiritual nature and to help us to make that connection.
You know, Susanne, you really do walk the walk. I mean, even in the vibration of your voice, you live love. I feel it. In every interaction we have, you are love.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, mediums are very, very sensitive people. And there was a point where I had over 1,000 names on a wait list. And I pretty much just broke down, Jamie. I just thought, all these people think they need me. I want them to know they have the power. And I worked my way through that list. It took about 3 years. And now I really want to focus on teaching, but I have started doing the individual readings more again. And I just opened up my wait list because, frankly, I miss it. I miss seeing that magical connection happen. Mm-hmm. One day, though, No one will need to get readings again. They'll do it themselves.
Well, that's what you and we're like soul sisters. We obviously were brought together for the same purpose. Have you noticed?
Yes, and we had some very strange synchronistic events that brought us together that would be a whole nother show sometime in the future. But I'm really grateful for you, and I'm grateful for your listeners. Anyone that's listening to this live or later on, you're doing it because you are a seeker. Know that you should be seeking from within, and know that your heart and mind need only open up to the possibility of making that connection, and you can do it. But you do have to stick with it.
Let's talk about that a little more when we come back. We're going to take a break, and then let's talk about the technique, how you teach people to reconnect and stick with it. We'll be back in a moment on Love Never Dies Radio.
EDECIA is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world. Through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods, EDECIA has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join EDECIA's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edeciaglobal.org.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio
If
Network.
you're living with
Uniting
fear and
mankind
stress in
with
your life,
universal
there
love.
is an answer.
Our shows
If you're
are
ready
created
for a
from the
better
heart,
way,
bringing
step through
each
the
listener
doorway.
to a
The
place
Doorway
of
is
divine
a
enlightenment.
multimedia online
Breathe,
course for
relax,
transcending fear,
and enjoy.
transforming
Let
relationships,
life flow.
accessing inner guidance, and experiencing more
You're
inspiration
listening
and
to
trust
Love
in
Never
your
Dies
life.
To
with
learn
Dr.
more
Jamie
about these
Turndorf.
online
If
courses
you can't stop
based on the
crying over the
teachings of A
bodily
Course
loss
in
of a loved
Miracles
one,
and
Dr.
David
Turndorf's
Hoffmeister,
number
go to
one international bestseller, Love Never
ACIMcourses.com.
Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, will show you how
This
to
is Dream
toss out the
Vision 7
tissues
Radio
and transform
Network,
your grief
uniting
into joy
mankind
using
with
her
universal
groundbreaking
love.
new
Our
dialoguing with the
shows are
departed
created
technique
from the
that
heart,
enables you
bringing
to
each
reconnect
listener
and even
to
heal
a place
unfinished
of
business
divine
with those in
enlightenment.
spirit without the
Breathe,
assistance of a medium,
relax,
channeler,
and enjoy.
or psychic.
Let
Sign up
life
for Dr.
flow.
Love's free newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive an
You're
exciting
listening
gift
to
to
Love
Love
Never
Never
Dies
Dies of
with
Love
Dr.
Dr.
Jamie
Jamie Turndorf. And now,
If you can't
back
stop
crying
over
over
the
the
bodily
bodily
loss of a
with
loved one,
Dr. Jamie
Dr.
Turndorf's number one international bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to
Welcome
Reconnect
back
and
to
Make
Love
Peace
Never
with the
Dies
Deceased
Radio.
will show you
I'm
how
Dr.
to
Jamie
toss out the
Turndorf. I'm
tissues
talking
and
with my
transform your grief
precious
into
Susanne
joy
Wilson,
using her
the Carefree
groundbreaking
Medium.
new
And we said
dialoguing
before
with the
we
departed
took a break,
technique that
we were
enables
gonna
you
talk
to
about
reconnect and even heal
more
unfinished
practical
business
ways
with those
that
in
people
spirit
can
without the
begin
assistance
to
of a medium,
hone their
channeler,
skills
or
and
psychic.
reconnect what you
Sign up
teach,
for
because
Dr.
I know
Love's free newsletter
you
at
are
AskDrLove.com and receive an
doing a
exciting gift,
7-part
a free
video on
excerpt
demand
of Love Never
rental
Dies.
series. You're
And
your
now,
own spiritual
back
medium,
to
and I
Love
assume
Never Dies
in this
with
series
Dr.
you're
Jamie
actually
Turndorf.
teaching how to reconnect, right?
Absolutely. And the website is carefreemedium.com. It's easy to remember. I partnered with Streaming for the Soul to produce this affordable series to help people make their own connection. And I have the book that I've written called Soul Smart, What the Dead Teach Us About Spirit Communication. Get the second edition if you're going to get it, folks, because there's expanded material. I'm going to just briefly go through how to meet in meditation. Everything's detailed in the book, and I'm going to try to be concise here. But there are actual steps that people out there in the world are following, and they're writing me, and they're telling me about having spectacular results. So the first step for meeting in meditation is to make an appointment. don't assume that your loved one can drop everything and show up on a minute's notice